My name's Adrián Emmanuel Hernández-Acosta. I am with the Hispanic Studies Department here at Brown. And I guess one way that I could describe the what of the project would be to say that it is an analysis of portrayals of African diaspora religions in Hispanophone Caribbean literature from about 1940 to 2017, thereabouts. In terms of the so what, like why focus on this material, I would say in a time where there's quite a bit of therapeutic interest in our culture, questions of mourning and loss and death are really central to the project and I think could contribute to those kind of broader questions, particularly about how religion and art can contribute to those questions. So a couple of courses that I've taught, they've all been more or less on Caribbean literature, mainly Hispanophone Caribbean literature, but not exclusively, with different kind of thematic approaches to the material. So for one semester, the approach was really about race, gender, and sexuality. For another semester, it was on mourning and experimental form, which is a bit closer to the research that I'm currently doing. And then I think last semester, it was specifically on Puerto Rico and questions of racial discourse in the history of the literature. So again, Caribbean literature, broadly speaking, and then different kinds of thematic approaches to the material. In terms of students, I think one of the most wonderful things of being in a teaching space is just seeing how, again, students from very different backgrounds in terms of academic interests have strong analytic reading skills, right? Some students who are engineers who are worried about writing papers, and papers in Spanish are like the strongest papers I've read, definitely as strong as the students who are in the department majoring. And so that's been wonderful. That's been a joy as well to participate, to support, to experience. Many of them come into the courses with a bit of hesitation around poetry. Poetry can be very daunting for folks. Don't know what to do with the words on the page. And one thing that I'm very proud of in the classes is that by the time we get to the end of the courses, not only are they ready to analyze poetry, many of them take on poetry writing themselves for their final projects. So that's a big win for me. So starting in the fall, I'll be an assistant professor at Yale Divinity School as an assistant professor in religion and literature. In a way, it's kind of a disciplinary homecoming, given that my formal training is in religious studies, even though my primary objects are literary. And so in that sense, I'm kind of, again, returning home. But one of the ways that being in the postdoc has really helped me has been to kind of strengthen the literary side of the work that I do. And feeling not only validated by the kind of colleagues in the Hispanic Studies department, but also in the other kind of literature departments in English and some folks in AM Studies as well. There's a real interest in how I think religious discourses can contribute to the kind of big humanities questions today. So I just felt that confirmation while I was here. Given that it's a divinity school, which is to say it's a graduate school, I'll be working with master's students mainly, so slightly older students, if not, second career students who are much further along in their life path. But I wonder that if the similar kinds of questions will come up that I see among the undergraduates here. A desire for their learning to be meaningful in the world, a desire for themselves to be transformed in some way, aside from learning something new that they didn't know when they first entered into the classroom. So, if anything, the Cogut space and the kind of diversity of ages and experiences in the Cogut space, I think, have prepared me for that kind of difference in the learning environment I'm going to face starting next year. How to harness those differences to create a community as vibrant and as committed as the one I've experienced here.